everyone. Hi you. How you doing? So I was tagged by a couple of people. Mostly I think the first was Disney Megs to do this video of the coloring wrap up for 2023. And this is Gudetama. He's helping me get through it. I love doing these tag videos, but this one was a lot of work. And I couldn't figure out how to, I've spent weeks preparing for it, which was fine because we had an ice storm and I was out of power, water, and internet for a while, so I couldn't do anything anyway. But I've had my internet back on for a few days and I just couldn't figure out how to tackle this big video. So I did the research I could and we're just gonna get started. So let's look at this. All right, this is a faux leather notebook from Archer and Olive. I love Archer and Olive supplies, and I'm part of their quarterly subscription, and this came in one of their quarterly subscription boxes. And this is actually probably the favorite one I've ever gotten, and I use this to keep track of pictures that I've done. So I started my adult coloring journey in August of 2022, and what I do is I take the pictures that I've put most of these on Instagram, so you've seen them. I take the picture, I print it off on sticker paper, glossy sticker paper, cut them apart, and I put them in here. And I put the name of the book and the author and who it was, what I used to color it so that I can remember. So it's easy for me to flip through this, then it's my portfolio. So this was 2022. And then we get up through December 2022. And we get to January. There's some more December. I did a lot in December 2022. And I put everything. I don't put all of I don't have pictures of every single one of these Eclipse color by numbers, especially if they didn't turn out too well. But what I'll do instead, and I'll show you, that was my favorite one of 2022, was a Kirby. Is I will just kind of get to the end of the month and just, if there's some I didn't take pictures of and I don't really want to take pictures of them, I'll just list them out. That way I have an accurate count of how many I've done. But this way I can go through and easily look through and answer questions like are on this tag, except when I'm behind on posting pictures. So I was in the middle of getting caught up with this so that I could do this tag easily when the ice storm hit and I ran out of the grid. I was completely off grid and couldn't finish it. So this was really helpful until I didn't have it, and it wasn't. So I had to manually do some things for a bit until I got my internet back and the power back. So let's start with the wrap up. I do have the wrap up in here at the end. So all of this is 2023, and I'm still getting those. Now that I've got all my facilities, I'm getting caught up with putting the pictures in. So 2023, I only did 2022, August through December. That's when I started. So I've only had one solid January to December year that I've been doing this with the YouTube channel. So in 2023, the first question is, how many pages did you color? And I colored 183 pages. Now my goal is 10 a month, so that's great. That's really great. Which month in 2023 did you color the most? The most I colored was in October. And that was because, let's go back and look at October. I don't have them all put in here yet, but in October, I colored Chris Reiniak, and I did a Halloween scribble every day for like 17 days. So there's 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18. You impressed with my mathing? 21. Uh-oh, we're getting to the 24, 27. What comes after 27? 30, 30, 31, 30, 34 total, it says. So I did 30. I guess I didn't need to impress you with my mathing. I did 34 in October, and that's way far and above what I've done in any other month, but that's because I did one of these Chris Reiniaks every day. So let me show you those. All right, this is the book I did the most work out of. Not because it's my favorite book, although it is a book I love very much because I love Chris Rainiak, but because I did that challenge to myself to do a page a day in October. So I went through the days and let me get a light closer to you. You don't know what happened while I was off getting this book. I knocked over my glass of water. Oh my God, disaster reigned. Yeah, so this is the book that I worked the most out of every day. Here's October 2nd. And the neat thing about this is that I got to experiment with all kinds of stuff. Like I did black acrylic around this guy. Here was eyeshadow. I mean, I just got to do all kinds of use whatever because I was doing something every day. Anything that's behind these little goblins and ghosties I put in with various mediums that I was testing. So I kind of used it like this was pencil work that I hadn't done pencil work like that before. I didn't care for this one, so I skipped it. But this was made to look all sketchy like that, like watercolor. I just did all kinds of different things. I tried to put in a flying carpet, then made it into a pillow, and then just called it a day because I didn't know what I'm doing. This one wasn't one of my favorites, so I skipped it. This was all pencil. So yeah, I just with some distress ink around. So I started off kind of slow with these and then just started using them as practice pages. This was my favorite one of the month. This is a metallic acrylic. I put black down first and then I put silver on top of it to make it look like a toast. I actually drew that in because he was just hanging out. So I drew the toaster in with the handle and then I used a stencil with some distress ink to put it out to make it look like it was a burnt toast monster. But he was my favorite. Mostly I used alcohol markers, and then maybe I put pencil on top, maybe I didn't. But see, this paper is super, super thick. Now, the thing about these Chris Rainiak books that's important to remember is that, let me move something, I keep bumping there we go, is that this book, and with this kind of paper, is bought directly from him on his website, which I'll put right here, bindlewood.com. If you buy it off Amazon, and I'll show you the difference because I did that, you don't get the same paper. So I highly recommend you buy it directly from him and get this better paper. So yeah, this was another favorite of mine, my Drunken Pumpkin. And I tried using a variety of different colors, kind of unexpected colors in him. This is all pencil. I think there's some alcohol ink down here though. Yeah. I just had fun. I kind of took some inspiration from different artists, different folks like you, and watching your videos, and just did different things with these guys. So this was what I did in October and why there's so many pages in October. Now I did not draw this wave, but the sun, yes, obviously. It looks like a 5-year-old did it. But I did put that pattern in his clothing, and I was really proud of getting like a Hawaiian pattern, but making it look like it was part of the folds and stuff. That was hard to do. But see, I got to the 16th or the 17th and I was done. I wanted to color some other things. So in 2023, October only had 16 days. And then I was done. But I do have a couple more of his books. Now here's the difference. And I can feel them. I could tell by feel. I bought this one off Amazon and this one off Bindlewood. So it's, again, that heavy, heavy paper. Here's one. And see, I've done pages in this that I'm really, really proud of because this heavy paper lets you do that kind of thing. I think I have one more in here. Nope, just that one. But this is Amazon printed. It's so thin. I mean, you can see through it. It feels icky. It feels like newspaper. I don't think the print is as crisp as the other books. I mean, his drawings are amazing. So I'm never, ever inclined to pull this book out because I just don't like the paper. So I think what I'll do is replace it with a book directly from him, and then I'll donate this one. It's incredible how different they are. Look how much thinner. Okay, this is Amazon, and this is coming from Bindlewood.com. Look how much thinner it is. Yeah, I wouldn't even bother buying his books off of Amazon. And then if he's got a book that he doesn't have in print on his website, he will have it as a downloadable PDF file. So I would personally do that over buying this garbage paper. All right. So that's why October was so big, but because I had a project for myself. Okay, question number 5. No. Question number 3, how many coloring books did you add to your collection? Now, I started keeping track of my purchases about halfway through the year. So I didn't keep a good track. But what I can tell you is that in 2022, I ended the year with 87 books. And 54% of them were untouched. I had just started. I'd only been doing it for about 6 months. And I was in a buy mode, buying lots and lots of books. And at the end of 2024, hey, that should say 2023. At the end of 2023, I ended with 131 books, over 87, with 27% untouched. Now, the difference is 44, but that doesn't mean I added 44 books. I added more than 44 because I destashed all of my AI, and we'll get into that later, and a few that I just wasn't coloring in. So I did a big destash. So I have no idea how many I purchased. It was more than 44, but I also am way down on my untouched. I'm only at 27% now untouched, which I'm really excited about. I'm working on that every month. Okay. How many untouched coloring books did you color in? Well, there you go. Whatever 70 something percent is of whatever. I guess I can't answer that question. A lot if I got my percentage down from 54 to 27. Why is there so much math in this? There's not supposed to be any math in it. Coloring. There's no math in coloring. All right. We are on to a really fun question. What are some of your favorite pages you colored in 2023? So let me get those for you. You all know that I like to color spooky, and I have almost all of the Mythagorias. I don't have the one that is Gory Underworld. I don't have that one. But I love the ones by Fabiana Attanasio, and I seem to especially drawn to this one. And I've done the most out of this one. But it's also got some of my favorite pictures. So I did this in 2023. This is a Wendigo, and it was just like, as I went, I made it up, but I kind of had an idea. I wanted him to really stand out in a sea of just pastel, shimmery, crystally goodness. Plus, I like to make my spooky creatures kind of pretty. He's pretty. So that was a favorite of mine. And then I have another favorite of mine. I decided to say that this was a creation of a mermaid and not the death of a mermaid. I have another favorite of mine. I do really like this one. This one also I had an image for this really vibrant red spider. So I actually did her in pencil, which is so rare for me to not just do everything in alcohol markers in these books, which is why I like the Mythographics and Mythagorias, because I like to color pages that look different, that are unusual. I don't like to color pages that look the same as every other book. I like them to be distinct and unusual. And I get that in Mythagorias and Mythographics, but I also get single-sidedness, which is the best. So I did not use alcohol marker on her, which is crazy. Now, I did use washi tape for kimono, and I cut through the page. This time I remembered to put something plastic here, so I didn't keep cutting through. And so I just taped it up with some washi tape on the back. But I put washi tape, which is, there's a couple of colorists. Disney Megs has a good video on how she does it. And that's who I can think of off the top of my head. And I just put the washi tape down. Now this was a particularly wide washi tape, so it went over the whole thing. And then I just sort of have to lift and kind of cut, lift and see where it is and cut. And I use just a craft knife to cut. And there's a lot of carefulness because you keep having to, sometimes I can see through the washi to see the line where to cut, and this one I couldn't. So I had to keep lifting and look where it is. So it's sketchy. It's definitely sketchy, but it comes out looking so good. I really liked it on her. So I do like this one. And then the other one in here that I did this one in 2022. I didn't know what I was doing, and I did it all in pencil. He still scares me though. The other one I like in here was the Krampus I did this year. A lot of you saw this. I saw this at this was done at Christmas time. See, all of these are pretty recent. That's because my coloring has improved. So I guess it makes sense that my favorite pictures are later in the year, because I think they're better than the ones that were earlier in the year. Now this one, I wanted total control over it, and so I did it all in pencil. I think the back I used some pastels, some oil pastels, but everything else was in pencil. All right, let me show you a couple more that I really liked. Y'all have seen my pictures out of this book. This is a heavily colored book. In fact, this was my most, other than the Halloween challenge I did for myself, this is my most colored in book for the year. And it has a lot of pages I like, but this was a contender, but I think I'm just not crazy about my really dark turtle. If I had done the turtle in a different color, that would have been a contender for a top favorite. But I really liked this one, the High Priestess. These are colors. Now the dark purple and the pink, those are typical Candace colors. I like really dark, vivid colors. But the rest of this, I really wanted to bring forth the idea of a desert, that she's in the desert, because I thought these succulents looked kind of deserty, and and I wanted to make outside like a deserty storm or something. So I brought in these colors of the desert, and these are not colors I tend to use. They were juicy markers and long pencils, let me tell you, because they're not colors I ever use. And I really, really enjoyed it. I love doing the hummingbirds. It was just a really fun page. The other one in this book I really like is this one. Now, as you know, I do Color the Tarot series, hashtag Color the Tarot. Anybody's welcome to join. I have it starting from the Fool, and we're up to at this point in time, in the beginning of February 2024, we're up to the Hermit card, which is coming out very soon. And we just color out picture pages of the tarot, and then you put them on Instagram with that hashtag, and I add them to the reels that are embedded in these monthly videos. And so I have a lot colored in here because it's of the tarot, but I do have some colored in here that have nothing to do with the tarot. And this one ended up being one of my favorites. And it's because of the fish and the swirls. I spent a lot of time on those fish. Now, this is all alcohol markers. I really wanted to make them look realistic with the shading. And that was new to me, doing that much shading to really give them body. And I loved how the fish came out. And then I took my favorite Kuretake Gansai Tom B Starry Colors Gold watercolor paint. And I love that too, but it took a lot away from all that work I did on the fish. It's like, woo, look at the shiny swirls. And you don't even see the fish anymore when I work so hard on them. But I still love everything. I do love the shiny swirls, and I do love the fish. This page isn't as cohesive as some of my other favorites. I made her blend into the background. I made her very one-dimensional. Because I wanted it to be all about the swirls and the fish and not about her. But I still really like it because I just love how those fish came out. So that was a lot of fun. So that was another favorite. I have a couple more I'd like to show you. Alien Worlds. You may or may not know that this is a project book for me, and I mangled the cover in my bag, in my work bag. Look at that. Oh my God. I just bent it all Three Ways to Sunday. When I got this book, it wasn't clear that Kirby was going to do another book for a while. However, hot tip, he is. It's coming out in 2025, and it's going to be scary fairy tales. So his version of some fairy tales, and I cannot wait, and I can't believe it's over a year away. Oh my gosh. Anyway, so this was very special, and to me it felt really like his swan song. Like he was starting, he look how mangled I did that. Don't look, it's sad. He started a story, and it's a journey. And so I decided to stop watching flip throughs and to not flip ahead and to go through it as if I am the explorer and I don't know what I'm going to find next. And I'm just going to go through the book from front to back. And I'm having the most fun. So I colored that. And I think most of you know, but I color all of Kirby's in Tim Holtz watercolor pencils. He calls them pencils. They're not really pencils, but Tim Holtz watercolor pencils. And that's pretty much all I use. I don't really like this. That's all this is. So we're in the inside of the cockpit, and then we're going, the credits. And at this point, I started getting tired of doing intro pages. I really, really wanted to get to the meat of the thing, so I didn't do this intro page. But here we are, heading to the Lost Planet. And this was a lot of acrylic paint pen. And then after I did it, I realized that that's not how space works, that actually you would have color closer to the planet and blacker further away, but who knows? I'm not a spacey person. I'm not a spaceman. That's for David Bowie. Then this is the page I wanted to get you to. So this is, I don't know if it's the best I've ever colored, but man, it is something else. It was a lot of work. Now I started with the left page, thinking I'd just do half at the time. And what I do for the planet, and since this is my first planet, so I'm just saying that this is what I do for all the planets, but I've only been to one so far. This is a luscious planet. It's supposed to be all really green and foresty and lots of animals and stuff. So I decided that this would be the palette I would use because this is what I had at the time out of the Tim Holtz watercolor pencils. I had 2 of the tins of 3. Another pro tip, Tim Holtz just released 2 more tins. No, 3 more tins. So now he has 6 tins total. So all of the distress colors are supposed to be now, especially, and even the new one, burnt wood or whatever it's called, they're all in the distress colored watercolor pencils. So I am definitely saving up because I love them. They're my favorite medium other than alcohol markers. But I also found just a small pack of Prisma watercolor pencils. I don't even know how I got them. So I use them too. Now, I don't like them. They are terrible quality. They're splitting, they break. They're just pretty poorly made pencils. But their colors are pretty bright. So I added some of them in here. That's where you'll see some of that blue-green and some colors that you don't see through the rest of the page because I quit using them because I don't like them. So I started with that and I did all that. I had to decide, what colors everything is going to be because if there are more adventures in this planet, they're all going to be these colors. So I just sort of had to keep them in mind. And then I just kept going. And I went to this side and there I am, probably going, whoa, and pooping my spacesuit. And then here, I love these mushroom things. So there's my spacecraft. And so here we are. So I am really, really proud of this one. It was my first really getting into the book and getting to be on a planet finally. And it's just as much fun as I thought it might be. And I didn't look ahead, but when I was done with this, I then turned the page and found out, oh, we're still on this planet. So I did this one, the Solar Giant. Again, just Tim Holtz watercolor pencils, nothing else. I thought, he should have some color up here. Of course, I had to look back and see what I did back here. And I realized I did do those stripes. So I just made them bigger and brighter here. And then I'm working on this one right now. He's been based with a color. So I'm working with him right now. Yeah, so this is a favorite book of mine, just because of the way I'm going through it, and because it's Kirby. Who doesn't love Kirby? I have a medium that works for it that makes the pages not so long. If you did any of these in just pencil, oh my God, my hat's off to you. But that would take forever. The fact that I'm using a wet medium with a brush, it's painting, and it's much faster. It's just using those watercolor pencils. I don't have to use much water at all because I'm pulling the pigment off the end of the pencil, off the end of the pigment stick, and I'm painting it on. So it goes pretty fast. This did take a while. I mean, this took days, but that only took a couple days. So it does go pretty fast. So I'm excited. I haven't looked ahead, so I don't know if we're going to stay on this planet or if we're jetting off to another planet next, but I can't wait to get to that. So that double page spread was one of my favorites I did this year, and this whole book is just a real joy. Now I have at least one more I want to show you, so hold on. All right, one of them was in this one. This is one that I had been avoiding coloring in because it was my impression that it was all ice and snow. This is Wild Winter, another mythographic by Joseph Kattenbang. And I was thinking, wow, look at all that. I just figured it was all ice and snow, and I don't know. I got it because I love Joseph. But then I got to looking closer at it, and it's like, it's adorable. I've seen several of you do this one. So I actually ended up with one of this year's favorite pages out of this one, which I was surprised. And that's this giant frog. I do really love him. He's all, he himself, all of this is alcohol markers. This back here is, I think it's Distress ink, and showing my amazing blending skills. I'm just not very good at blending those things very well at all. But, you know, like I said, when I did this page, even though that's not what I was picturing, I always like how it turns out. I like how Distress ink turns out, even when I don't blend it well. And then the snow, I did several, can you see it's raised up and it's bumpy, lumpy? I did several layers of white acrylic paint. Just plain old Apple Barrel or Folk Art something white acrylic paint. And I love the bumpiness of it. I really wanted it to be like flocked snow, and I just love the bumpiness of it. I made him like a poison tree dart frog, and poison dart tree frog, something like that. And his toes are purple. So he's a red frog with purple toes, and I just think that's amazing. I think they're so beautiful. And then I just made it like everybody's home, because I think if a giant frog was wrapped around my condominium or whatever, I would have all the lights on too. So every level, every home has, it's all lit up because there's a giant frog outside. So that was one of my favorite pictures of 2023. And then I have one more, and that's out of this amazing book, Mythogoria Nightmare Cabaret. Probably my second favorite, Mythogoria. Although Vengeful Forest has turned out to be one that I really, really love, the most recent one. And I've done a few out of this one, but my favorite is this one. That creeper. She scares me. This is all just alcohol marker. And I think that's probably one of the reasons I like it, because I was able to get a pencil-y shaded effect with just alcohol marker. Now, the funny thing about this is I love the sky, and that was a happy accident because my marker was not a Copic. It was an off-brand, but I loved that puke green color, but it was running out. It started running out, and they don't have refills. So I used it the best I could because I started over here and it started running out, but the running out kind of made it look like, like sky, like ugly clouds with the moon showing through or something. So I really liked how that came out, that little happy accident. The rest of this is very off-putting. It's very clashing, which I think works. I started with the hair because I had this idea of this old lady and that she would have her hair dyed a kind of an ugly straw brassy blonde because she's trying to be younger than she is. But then I kind of got down in here and I was like, really wanted to make this look like gold or maybe wood. And I used a clashing, this one came first, then everything else came second. and I changed the color palette basically. So this and this really clash, but I kind of like it because this creature is not supposed to be attractive. It's supposed to be really off. I mean, look at how I did her skin, or his skin, their skin. I used, now this was done with pencils, I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure I did the skin with, nope, I did the skin with alcohol marker too. Everything's alcohol marker. I used greens and various grays. And then the white is the white of the paper coming through. And then Creeper there, oh, she's so scary. But I just really liked, I thought the technique I used for the wig was really good. It was the first time I'd done kind of like real shading down. First time I'd done hair like that, and I liked it. This was earlier in the year. All the rest were later. And I used many of the things I learned from doing this page in future pages. So that's another reason I really like this page. I think this is a really fun book.
Hey y'all, this is Future Candace here. I'm sitting here watching some YouTube videos, doing a bunch of coloring, some of them coloring buddies with you, and I'm just sitting here in my jammies, and I forgot to show you my favorite picture of the year for 2023. I was in a bit of a brain fog when I was doing that video, when I made this video that you're watching right now. And I'm sorry if I'm a little confusing at times, but I actually left out my favorite picture that I colored in 2023. And it's from this one, Marcos Chin, Mermaids in Wonderland. And it's this page. Now, it actually has fallen out, which is unfortunate. I'll leave this open so I don't lose its place. But, and I'm gonna, this is heavily altered, so I'm gonna insert a picture here of what it looked like originally. So as you see, it was just the three mermaids hanging from I think they're in a circus. This, several of these images in this Mermaids in Wonderland book show the mermaids in a circus type theme. So here they are hanging onto rings and doing their circusy stuff, and they're in circus outfits is what it looks like, cabaret type outfits. And here's what I did with it. So what I did was I used that technique that I've talked about before, and I talked about it when I talked about this page in the completed pages. I've also talked about it when I did a Sarah Richter picture, a couple of them, is where I take a palette. Do I have a palette close by? No. So I take a palette and I put, this is a palette, and I put like red and black, or maroon and a really dark blue, or something. And in this case, it was maroon and black. So maroon and black. And then I take my brush, and a really fat brush, usually fatter than this even, maybe more like this giant one, a really fat brush. And what I do is I have a stripe of each color, and I swoop through it like this, and I kind of flip over the brush and swoop through it. So the brush, each side has half black and half red on it. I don't mix them together. And then I take this brush and I just do this. And so the red and the black mix on the page, but they don't mix completely. They just sort of make stripes. And then sometimes I do this, and then sometimes I do this, and then I go back to this palette, and I once again find a spot where they haven't mixed together. And if I'm careful, I can do that several times before I have to lay the paint out again. So this was done in gouache. And that's how I very easily get, this curtain work, which is my favorite part of the page, took maybe 5 minutes. And it looks like, I've done a lot with texturing and stuff, but I really didn't. I just did a one brush technique. It works great for hair, which is how I've used it in the past. This was the first time I tried it in a fabric. So I added this, and what I had done was I had gone onto Pinterest or Google Images, and I looked up vintage circus, because I wanted this to look like an old cabaret type circus with the wood floors, and the dingy, I wanted the backdrop to be dingy. So, and not, just kind of look like a kind of a circus or cabaret that's maybe not doing so well. And so I just hand drew these stripes in. And this is the red that I was using, some of the red that like I was using here with that technique. I use it just straight red here. And then I used I just had the color of the paper here. And what I did was I took very watered down gouache and I just sort of like took my paint and I just kind of put it on in places in brown to give that dirty look. And I made the bottom the most brown. And then I hand drew in the wood floor, and I tried to make it look like it's an old wood floor that's all scuffed up and stuff. And then I did the mermaids as if they were in some sort of very pale face paint, and they're like circus performers. So this was my favorite image of the year, and Marcos Chen, the illustrator of this book, actually commented on it, saying that he really liked it. So that was exciting. The ladies are done with this is a double-sided page, and as you see, nothing went through. So the ladies are done. I believe they're basted in a water marker, maybe Crayola Super Tips or something, and then pencil on top. And then there's some glitter gel pen. So yeah, I just wanted to, I had this in my notes to show you that I decided. It was hard to decide, but actually it wasn't that hard. I really do love this page, and it was the first page I've ever altered, ever. And this page plus Doodle Robot's influence has gotten me to alter more and more pages. And I just really liked it. So I decided this was my favorite page of 2023, and I'm sorry I left it out of this video. Now back to Historical Candace.
All right. Question number 6. Did you complete any coloring books in 2023? No. Easy. Kuda Thomas says no. And it's not a goal of mine. I don't care if I ever complete a book. But I do have books that I want to color more in because I like them better. And some books like Alien Worlds and the new Underwater Worlds that I got, I want to color every single page. So there's that. But I don't have any goal to complete any book. Do you have any coloring regrets in 2023? Yes. Hold one moment. Okay, my regrets center all around AI. And it's not so much as a regret as a supreme disappointment. The AI generated images have gotten better, but in 2023, they were terrible. Now, opinions vary, but in my opinion, it's all stolen artwork. The only way AI can be made is for the browser, the crawler that the software is using, to go out after a prompt and use recognition software that is all the way from poor to very, very good, depending probably on how much you paid for that app, and to pull those images and then put them together. So you're not drawing anything original. You're taking images from the web, images that may or may not be copyrighted or might be private property. So there's no way to guarantee that the AI is taking safe images that are okay for you to use without recognition of the artist. So it's basically just stolen artwork. Now, whether you like it or not, AI cannot exist alone. It has to exist with human artists putting their artwork out into the internets. So without human artwork, AI would be nowhere. AI doesn't draw itself. So because of that, I decided, I don't want to support stealing other artists' art, even if it's greatly changed. I mean, still, they should be paid for what they do. B, my money is very precious to me, and so is my time. And I don't want to spend anything off some computer-generated piece of work. I'm only going to spend my money towards actual artists. and pay them for the work they do. I'm not going to pay someone to just has a good software program that can collect images off the web. I feel like that's not actually art. And I feel like there's very little effort. Now, I've had AI artists who tried to get me to promote their books on my channel, which I won't, tell me that, well, it takes a long time to edit it and make it right because the AI software is not accurate. It brings back things and people have 6 fingers and someone has a wing sticking out of their waist. And so they have to, a good AI art seller would go in and just have to put into a program and manually fix those things. But why not just draw it yourself at this point? I still don't think that's work I want to pay for. So I won't pay for that. And my time is precious. I don't want to color that kind of crap either. I'm going to color artwork that someone made. That being said, I went through and I came to this conclusion early in the year and I went through all of my books. I usually can spot AI art just by looking at it, and I destashed everything. And then stuff I wasn't sure on, I researched to make sure. And there were 2 that fooled me, and that's the things that bother me. One is Coloria. I was certain, I saw their flips. Other people were bringing them in like crazy earlier in 2023, and they had like a hobby one, and they had a life one, and this was a little world one, and a wonderful little world, I think this is called. I got rid of the book, but and they weren't being sold on Amazon. Only the mandala books were, and that I'm going to be putting out a how to spot AI video, but that's a huge clue. If they can't get their books to be sold on Amazon, and they give you some vague. Like I asked them, they're like, oh, it's hard. But they were being sold elsewhere and on other Amazons, just not American Amazon. There must be some kind of American Amazon, US Amazon has been booting off sellers that are selling AI and trying to market it as not AI. So every time a major player like Coco Wyo or Jade Summer puts out something that's probably AI, but they haven't said, like historically they have not, then suddenly they go to AI. Amazon catches them somehow. I mean, they caught Coco Wyo after Spooky Cute Spooky, that one, which was total AI. And then Coco Wyo was able to come back, but now they're using actual artists again. So I'm fine with Amazon being our police agent. Now there are lots of AI artists on Amazon selling books, but they're pretty clear in their description, like Alice Mills. Alice Mills is not a human. That's a publishing company. And they say right on it, if you look at their website, if you look at their information, it says AI generated art. I can respect that. I don't want it, but I can respect that. But Coloria, they even say on the inside of their folder that they're like a small company, a family, and they make you believe it's a bunch of artists. But they're not. Once I got the book, they finally sold Wonderful Little World. They got that one onto US Amazon. I waited like almost a year. I was so excited. Finally, it's being sold on Amazon. I get it home, and every single page, something's really wrong with it. So this is the one page I found out of the whole book that had the least amount of errors. And when I mean errors, I mean like human feet on an animal, or like leaves that went nowhere, or like parts of the house that are not connected, like a chimney would go here and then it would just stop at the roof and then it would be over here, or there'd be like a trunk of a tree that would kind of go across but wouldn't really come to anything. There's one that is plants all over, and one of the plants, the leaves are upside down and not even connected. It's like just horrible. And once you look through it, every page has a problem. Now this one, the problem was back in here. I had to draw a lot to make these rocks make sense. They didn't make sense. That's why they look kind of funky. The chair didn't make any sense right in here. I had to fix it. In the end, I mean, it's a cute picture, but why does the tree do this? I don't know. And why does it just, it just doesn't make sense. And it's not a style, it's AI. So I kept this just because the end product I think is cute, but it's cute because I fixed it and it took a lot of work. And then I put the book in the free pile down at the post office. See, these were not right. That's why they look different. So I was angry at Coloria for doing that, for fooling me. That made me mad. The other one that made me mad is Carlin Douglas and Black River Art. That's not human generated, folks, either. One clue to figure out if something's AI is if they put out lots of books, like tons, one after the other. They're all different, completely different styles. Lots of that gray shading stuff. Looks like it might just be a photocopied picture from a textbook or something. And I had those little Grimm worlds I thought were cool, but then I started seeing more of his books, and then I realized I had some of his books in my collection that were completely different, and I realized it was all AI. US Amazon booted him as well. They don't sell his stuff anymore, and I got rid of all of his books. So those two ones fooled me, and I was sad about that because I don't want to be fooled. As I've said before, tell me you're AI, and those of us colorists that don't care will buy your books. Just don't lie to us. Let us make informed decisions. So don't make us have to work this hard to figure out if a computer just pulled these images and, Frankenstein them together, or if an artist actually drew it. I mean, we have to work hard, but it's worth it, but it pisses me off when I get intentionally fooled. So those were my regrets of 2023. My most used mediums. Hold on, I'll show you. Remember when I told you I spilled water earlier? This is what I spilled it on. So my fancy carrying case for some of my water medium, I take my supplies to work. I have a lot of downtime at work and I get a chance to color often. In here are some of my favorite, these are those Prismacolors that I bought. Really lousy quality, but the pigment's nice, so I would never buy more. But it's these. This is the brand new one I just got. This is tin number 2, and I just have barely started using it. These are tin 1 and 3. It's these Tim Holtz watercolor pencils. Sorry, I'm bumping the camera. I use these for all of my Kirby and for anything else that can take it. The way I use them is I have a cup of water and a paintbrush. Let's just grab a paintbrush. I get the paintbrush wet so I get a nice little point on it. I dip the pigment stick in the water, and then I take it from here and I paint. I have a lot of control, and I put it on over this. Now this one hasn't been cleaned up, but what this does is I'm a professional. What this does when I put it on here is I take the paint off kind of like this, so that excess paint, like this, gets on this palette. So I use the lids as palettes. I just didn't get a chance to clean this one up after work last time I used it. And I just wash it, or since I don't have a sink in the room where I'm at, I use a alcohol wipe. But yeah, I just take it off like this, and then I paint with it. Now taking it, using less water and taking it, really intense gives you an intense color. Putting it on here, and you can add more water to it if you want to, or just kind of spread it out, make it thinner, makes it thinner. So I have a lot of control with these. I can mix colors on this palette. So if I've got, if I don't have the exact color blue I want, I can mix. I can make gradations with this. I love this. So I just keep these all like this, and they go to work with me in my backpack. Now, he just announced like 2 days ago that he has created the rest of the line. So there's 3 more of these. Now, these are like $20 a pop, 15 to $20 a pop. However, if you use them like this, they'll last forever. I mean, I have never, ever, that one looks brand new, doesn't it? I think I've got it in the wrong tin. I've never even sharpened these yet, and I've used them for a year and a half. And I've never even gotten to the first part of where the paper is. I've never even had to peel paper because they're so pigmented. They're just sticks of pigment. That's all they are. Watercolor pencil is a terrible name for them because you don't use them. I mean, you can color and then add water, but you have to use a lot more water. And so there's opportunities for bleed through and your paper warping. And plus you'll use your pencils really fast that way. This way they just go on and on and on. Plus, I'm a Distress ink fan because I was a card maker before and I started coloring and still am. So I know Distress inks really well. So I know these colors. If you tell me, to use Villainous Potion, I know that's exactly what that's going to look like. So these are comfortable colors for me. It's fun when they're brand new like this though, isn't it? they're not, it's not all messed up yet. Although see, I think this one goes in another set, but I don't really care. I've thought about putting them all, Tim Holtz himself puts them in just a big container because he doesn't like having to deal with opening and closing. But I do love this portable palette that's on here. So I just keep them in here. It works. I don't have anything better. And I put them in here. And yeah, I know I dropped one. It's down by my feet. And then I put in a towel, one of my coloring towels. And then I throw these in just because, I got to use them at some point, but these are definitely not my favorite. Look at this. I just have started using these, and look how short this one is. They're really poor quality. As soon as you start sharpening them, they split all the way down. They're terrible pencils. The other favorite thing I have, which you all know, is my Copic alcohol markers. So, these are just ones that are dried out, and these are ones that I have, these are refills and ones that I've ordered refills and I'm waiting. I have a system. All of my usable ones are over there, and they're in a giant tote, plastic tote that I keep on its side. And so that way, the markers are on their side, and then I can carry that tote by the handle when I want to take it to work. These are refills. The refills look like this. I get them off Amazon when they're cheap. I keep my eye out, and when one I need is cheap, I pull it off. I can usually get them for Prime shipping, so they're free, and for like $5 each. There are some colors I'm really struggling to get, mainly the ones in this container, that never seem to be available on Amazon, or they're available with a third-party sender, but they're like $9 with $4 shipping, and I'm not going to do that. So I just wait to find them cheap. Sometimes I go on eBay and find sets that have most of those or colors that I don't have, and I'll buy them. They're cheaper that way too. Otherwise, they're pretty expensive. So one of these can do about, a refill's about goes to here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It could do like 10 refills of a pen. But I don't spend more than $5 on one of these. So these are all the refills I have right now. I'm going to have to get a bigger box. And these are ones that need refilled that are dried out. But the Copic sketches are my favorite. They're bigger and hold more ink than the Copic 2s. But I have a few Copic 2s as well that I was just able to get cheap. So I keep my eye on eBay, on Amazon, on Dick Blick, on various places to try to find them cheaper. I have never bought a whole set. I bought my original set off eBay. So I've never bought them new. They're very expensive. But as long as you get refills, it's okay to buy used pens. And because these pens don't ever, they rarely break or anything. These are a couple that need filled too, that I have the refills for. I just have to do them tonight. Okay, what is the next question while we look at this beautiful brown box? Hold on. Okay, the next question is, what coloring book did you color the most pages in 2023? That would be the Chris Reiniak one. However, that was because of a project. Other than that, just for what I love to do, was this one, Mythographic Cosmic Spirit. As you've seen, I do love this book, and I tend to gravitate towards it a lot. I do pages in it for my hashtag Color the Tarot. But even if I didn't have that hashtag, I would do a lot of pages out of this. I love the mythographics, as I've told you. But this one, and I love Fabiana Attanasio, but she's not my very favorite. Her and Joseph are pretty tied. It's not because it's Fabiana, but it's just because of the images. They are so me. They're not too busy. They've got some magical, mystical elements to them. They're very unusual. They're very fun to color. They're fun to get into. They're like, they all are. So many of you colored this one. I've got some beautiful ones of these to add to. I haven't marked because I wanted to do it as well. But I'm adding a couple of you who have done this page to the upcoming video, The Hermit, in the Color of the Tarot series, and they're just beautiful. But I like pictures that are tell a story. I will do portraits, but not very often. I mostly like to do something that I can really get into that tells a story. Oh, I should do that one for February. It's Wheel of Fortune. And this one really does. Never mind that it's largely about the tarot. It's just the images are just so unique and make me want to color them. They're gorgeous. And this book, I have a few books where I would do every single page in it, and this is one of those books. So let's see, what else have I done in here? I love that page. Can't wait to get to that one. Aquarius. I made this one very dark. This was early on in my coloring career. Loved this one. This one I really liked because it's the first time I did an element all in pencil. This was earlier. And those fish are all pencil. I thought they were really hard at the time and took forever, and I was really proud of them. Now I could probably do that much faster. But I do like that one. Yeah, it's just a really neat book. So I've colored the most out of this book. And probably it will always continue to be my favorite book. What are your, next question, number 11, what are your top 5 coloring books for 2023? Okay, I have some favorite books that are perennials. That would be my top 5 favorite. For example, Kirby Rosanes, his Mythic World is probably my favorite book of all time. However, the way I interpret this is of 2023. I don't think I colored one page. I think I finished a WIP, but I'm not sure how many I actually colored out of that book. I didn't color that one. So if I look at just the year, the top 5 books would be the top 5 that I enjoyed coloring in the most. So the top one would be this one, Cosmic Spirit. And let me get you the rest. So being honest, I would have to say the Chris Reiniak one, because I did spend a lot of time in that. So we have Cosmic Spirit, Chris Reiniak's Halloween Scribbles, of course, Alien Worlds. I think I've probably colored as many pages in this as I did Cosmic Spirit. Mythagoria, Night Terrors, colored several out of this and loved it and kept on coloring it. Here's the Cosmic Spirit. And the 5th one would be this one. Surprise, surprise. I love this book. Not all of you do. It does have some problems. It is missing some numbers, but I love it. And I did a lot in it. Now, it has great paper. It has one-sided paper, so you can use your alcohol markers. It's endorsed by Disney, so it is true Disney stuff. It's got some funny stuff in the beginning. What I ended up doing was when I finished a coloring page, you're going to see some on my desk here because this book is big. When I finished my coloring page, I would then have a mess on this side just from paint that transferred or if I used alcohol markers. And I just found that I was not wanting to open it up because this page was so messy. So I got into my massive supply of cardstock. And I just found cardstock to put on the other page. And now I love flipping through this book. So that's what I've done on my finished pages. Because it makes it just much more fun to look at it. I didn't want to see a mess here. It made the book feel like it was messy. And I wanted to look at it and enjoy it because I do love it. This one, I haven't got one on here yet. I have it. I don't know why I haven't got it on there yet. But so all of these pages I did in 2023. So I probably worked the most in this book, actually. But it is color by number, and I tend to not think of them as, incredible works of art. I found this roses. I thought that looked good with Queen of Hearts. So now I really enjoy looking through it as I see this is not glued down. It's going to be. But I haven't finished this one yet, so I didn't want to glue it down yet. I just put it there as a space saver. But I'm going to be working on this one probably tonight, actually. That's not going to go there, but it's another piece of paper. Maybe this was supposed to go in that other place. These are ones I'm working on, so there's no colored paper here because I tend to get things a mess. Now what I do in this book is if I'm working somewhere else and I'm using, let's say, black acrylic paint, and I have some black acrylic paint left over because I'm done with the picture that I was working on, I open up this book and I just go through and find everything that's black and I paint it from front to back until I'm out of the extra paint. So I don't waste any paint. So I had some gold paint, I had some black, and then I was having fun with this one and I did some of that Secure Glaze pens. I haven't done this one yet. Here's one I'm working on, but I actually did glue the paper down because, I don't know, I think I made a mistake when I did that, but I love that paper with this guy. I was working on him the other night, so I was trying to find a red I liked. Haven't done that one. Finished this one. This is actually, finished this in December. Finished that one. Finished this one. This looks like lined paper, so I thought it worked for him. And these are all done with acrylic paint pens. Now, I have had a struggle finding the acrylic, and this one's done in alcohol markers. And this is actually paint in the background. I made it look like that on purpose. I wanted it to look kind of messy back there. It's not kind of messy the way I thought, but the rest of it's alcohol markers. I've been struggling to find the perfect acrylic pen, and finally have settled on Thule Art. After trying and wasting a lot of money on others. I found this and I just thought it worked with his brick, and I put it in there because I wanted to make this brick the same colors. I'm going to try to, I'm just feeling like I'm getting to the end. See, here's one where I had some black left over, so I did her dress. Here's one that's finished. I just did him recently. You know what I need to do is paint this black. That way I'm gonna, and there's another one I did a black dress, and that way I'm gonna end up having a book that I really enjoy flipping through. So what happens is I do these a little at a time, and then one day I look down and they're done. So I work in this all the time. I'm always constantly putting the extra color in there, and I just really enjoy this book. So this is my 5th favorite one for 2023. And I'm going to leave it out because when I get done making this video, I'm going to reward myself with some coloring in it. All right, let's go to the next question. All right, so before we get into these final questions, I did miss one. What coloring, did you try any new coloring techniques in 2023? And that would be everything pencils. I've never been a pencil colorist, so I tried a lot of different pencils. Weird thing was, one of my first sets was just this 24 pack of Polychromos, and they're still my very, very favorite. Since the Polychromos, I've done Black Widows, which are probably, I use them, but they're probably my least favorite of the ones I have. I got the Speer Farbens, which I think are by far the best budget pencil I've ever bought. They're fantastic. They're soft and they're creamy, and they go on really well, and they work on every page I try. So I use them a lot. I don't use my Black Widows very much anymore. I got the Couleur, I got the Couleur, what was it, 300 or that giant set? I fell for that. Got it for a really good price. I do like the Couleurs. I think they're second beneath the Speer Farbens. And then I just recently had an Amazon gift card, and I could choose. There were 2 big sets I wanted. One was the Albrecht Dürer watercolor pencils, because I thought that made sense with the way I like to color. I like to color with wet mediums. So I thought that they would be perfect for me. I've watched so many people color with them, and I've watched how-to videos and all kinds of stuff. So I thought I'd get those, or that giant set of Polychromos. Well, because of prices, the Polychromos was not on sale, but the Albrecht Dürer was. I went with the Albrecht Dürer. I regret that decision because I don't like them as well as I thought I would. I'm really struggling with them. I feel like I'm constantly pushing pigment around instead of painting with it like you do with the Tim Holtz. That pigment, I can just paint it on. I just feel like I'm pushing the pigment around and I don't have the control, and it might be because I'm new, but I'm still working with them. They're beautiful colors and I like them dry. I still haven't figured out how to use them wet very well. So now I'm really jonesing for those Polychromos. So all of this money being spent, it's funny because I have decided my favorite pencils are the originals. I don't tend to get the Prismas. I don't like their quality. They just break too much and sharpen too much. They go too fast and you have to push too hard. I like oil-based pencils that I can just lightly layer with my, that cracking was my cabin. My log cabin cracks like that. Scares me. But I have arthritis. So pencil work. And I'm by no means good at it yet, but I'm still working at it. So then this is to answer, like, if you were a new colorist, what illustrators and books would I recommend? Well, of course, Morgan O'Brien, right? These are easy wins. They're small. They're contained. They're nice big spaces. This paper, although it's Amazon paper, is the good stuff that can actually take any medium. You know, I use alcohol markers, but I hear people use, watercolor paints on them. You can use pastels, oil pastels, what have you. I have all of them. So basically I only have a couple pages colored in each one, which is why I'm not buying much in 2024, because I want to work in the beautiful books I have. But these are just fun. And you can do things like, this was a palette challenge. This was a palette challenge. You can use them for challenges, and they're not a lot of time. It's not a huge commitment. And if you make a mistake, there's dozens more. So although I would argue that there really aren't any mistakes in coloring, you can almost make anything into something. So I would always recommend Morgan O'Brien. And especially now that he's got Annie Day. I mean, it's just a gorgeous, I've colored one, just that one. It's just gorgeous, peaceful, fun, easy coloring. So, and you can experiment with these. They're not expensive. They're like $7 on Amazon, easy to get. So they're obtainable, they're cheap, they're decent paper. They're a great artist. You're supporting a live artist. I just think this is a great idea for new colorists. Another one I would recommend is, of course, Chris Reiniak, which we've already seen lots of. Denise Klitt, if you want something a little bit more challenging, and I have all of hers as well, but this is my favorite, so I brought this one out to look at. She's a little bit busier, right? But they're still not so busy and they're single-sided. You'll definitely see a pattern. I'm definitely stressing the single-sidedness because a lot of people start with things like water-based markers, alcohol markers, and like this is all alcohol markers and a stencil with some distress ink. And this can help people use whatever medium they have. You don't have to go out and buy fancy, expensive pencils because you've got this precious book on double-sided paper. You get these single-sided. These books are not that expensive, especially if you go to, it's not Book Outlet. You know what I'm talking about. And if you go and you can get them at places where they're discounted. I have a couple more in here. And they're adorable, and there's just not much to them. You could play with backgrounds or not. You can leave backgrounds alone. I didn't do a background for like a year. And then now I kind of enjoy trying to do backgrounds. So yeah, this would have probably been in one of my favorite pictures, but I did it in 2022. And it's all alcohol markers. Really fun. And she has the gnome book, the fairy book. She has mermaids book and birds in the forest, the bird book. So I would definitely recommend this artist if you're going to step up to a little bit next level intricacy, would be Denise Klitt. Along that line, I would say Diane Dufour. Now she has the Teddy Bear Therapy book. She has fur balls. You get them off Lyrica. I think I got this one off Amazon though. Nope, I bought this off Lyrica. So the only challenge is you have to get them off Lyrica, which is a French, lyrica.com, Lireka. As a new colorist, it took me forever to find that because I would watch your videos and you'd say, yeah, I got it off Lyrica. And I'd look up Lyrica and I couldn't find anything. So finally someone spelled it out for me, Lireka, and I was like, then I found it. Now I speak a little French, so the site isn't that hard for me to navigate, but if you don't know any French, it's a little hard. But you can always just search for her, Diane Dufour, and she has several books. And this is my favorite, though. This is the only one of hers I actually have, because I love underwater scenes. I love mermaids. Underwater coloring is my favorite coloring. And again, these are adorable. They're not too little itty bitty fiddly like a Joanna Basford or something. They're single-sided, and they're just fun. There's lots of pages in them, lots of pages in each book. Great paper, so you can use anything on it. And just really fun coloring. Now, I have this here because I'm actually working on a page. Oh, I have it protecting it because I'm doing it in pencil right now. Can you believe that's me coloring that? All those light, pretty pastel-y colors. Weird. But yeah, really fun. Now, her other books are even smaller sized. So yeah, if you can navigate the Lyrica website, the shipping to the United States is free. Now, the shipping is different depending on what country you're in. Some countries it's free, but you have to get to a certain number, a dollar amount there that you're purchasing. If you're in the United States, it's free no matter how many books you purchase. So that is a really great resource. So when you're ready, check out Lyrica.com and you can find a whole new world open up to you. Okay, the last one I think I'd recommend, and this is only if you're ready to step it up one more level, and that would be Rita Berman. I love Rita Berman. I did de-stash one of her books recently. Shh, don't say anything. But it was the winter book, and I didn't really like it. But this Asian book, oh my gosh, it's my favorite book so far of hers. Now, I don't have the Africa one, and I want the Africa one, but this was a palette challenge. I really like it. In fact, I think all the things I've colored in here have been palette challenges. It's really quality paper, quality drawings. It's a step up in intricacy, but still, manageable. You can use just like gel pens in here, or just regular old, glitter pens, just cheap set of ink pens that won't go through. You can use your Crayola Super Tips. You can use really affordable, easy to find mediums in here, because you need the kind that don't go through. Now, this paper is a little thinner than the Diane Dufour's, and it's double-sided, so you'll have to use pencils or gel pens or something like that, acrylic paint pens. But those are mediums that are easy to learn. Now, pencils are harder, let me tell you, but you don't have to use them. So if you're willing to go the next step up, I would say this Rita Berman. Any of hers, they're all great, except for the winter one. But again, that's another step up. So, all right. Did you find any new coloring YouTube channels in 2023? I found all the YouTube channels in 2023. Actually, I started in 2022. And I started because of watching YouTube videos like you and like yours. And what you're doing was amazing. And what I'm going to do is in the description is I'm going to list all of the ones that I subscribe to. If you don't see your channel on there, please hit me up so I can subscribe to it. Just means that the YouTube algorithm hasn't suggested you to me yet. But I like to follow all of you. And I pretty much watch your videos and true crime exclusively. That's it. I'm watching YouTube all day long. So I don't have television at home, but I have internet and I watch YouTube. So I pretty much see all of yours. If I'm subscribed to you, I'm watching your video. So yes, I will list, I'll take the time at work tomorrow to, before I upload this, to put in the description that everyone I subscribe to. Now, I would like to give a shout out though to one in particular, and that is Coloring with Kay. She doesn't know this. I don't think she knows this, but she was the first colorist I found on YouTube. I don't know why YouTube recommended her video to me, but one day I'm watching YouTube videos in July of 22 or June of 22, somewhere early, maybe first quarter. And Coloring with Kay's video came up and I'm like, whoa, the people color on YouTube? I like to color. So I clicked on her video and I was blown away. I did not know people could color like that. Now, her style, the bright, vivid colors, it really meshes with what I like, her aesthetic. So I think that's also why I was really drawn to her. But the metallic, the glimmery, shimmery effects she gets in the metallic watercolors that she uses, and what she chooses to make shiny and not, doesn't jive with any natural law. It's all her own preference, and it's fascinating and it's gorgeous. And I fell in love with her coloring, and I quickly subscribed to her, and then I went and looked up all her videos and basically stalked her. And I was like, I want to be like her. I want to do that. Now my coloring style has completely evolved separate. I mean, it's nothing like Coloring with Kay's. But she was a huge influence in me to then look at who she followed. And then YouTube started suggesting more. And every day I was finding new colorists. And that's how I got into this. So Coloring with Kay was my gateway drug. And someone I still admire so much and want to be just like her when I finally grow up in this coloring world. I'd love to be able to do what she does. But for now, I just look at it and be amazed. So thank you, Kay, for getting me into all this. And then the last question is, what are some of your coloring goals for 2024? Now, I thought about that, and I thought about writing some down. I don't think I ever wrote it down. I think it's mostly in my head. But did I write anything down? Yes. Whoa, look at that. Past Candace was thinking. I want to get better acrylic pens. Okay. I started doing that. I tried and failed it a lot. And let me show you. Might be kind of noisy for a second while I open up my giant tub of acrylic pen fails. First I had these. I don't even know what they are. I don't even know what, I mean, look at that ink. They're very old. Guangna. Oh, these are the guys that make the shiny ones now. Anyway, these are super old. They have really big nibs, which I actually liked because it covers really big spaces, and they're very opaque. I got them years ago. I just found them in a drawer somewhere. They're pretty much all going bad on me, and their colors are funky, but that was my first acrylic paint pen. I wouldn't recommend them. My next ones were these acrylographs. Now, because I'm a member because I love Archer and Olive, I was buying their acrylic paint pens to color in my books. However, these are very frustrating. Look at that, and look at it work for me. But they tend to not. They get gummed up like this. You have to clean them a lot. I didn't know that. So a lot of mine don't work well anymore. They stop flowing as you're working, and you have to clean them again. They're very, very fussy. I ended up buying a lot of them when I thought I needed them all. And then, see, this one is going to take some work. I would need to take out the nib, wash it. I need to shake it really good. I need to reprime it. So they're a lot of work. And you might have to do that while you're coloring. The colors are fantastic. I probably have 50 of these now because they also come in my subscription box. So I'm still getting them even though I'm not purposely buying them. That's a white, actually. The white's actually pretty good. But I have tons and tons and tons of them. I have two different size nibs. I have these little nibs, and then I have bigger round nibs. If these worked better, these would be fantastic because they're very opaque. But they don't work for shit. So then the next ones I bought were these Arctics, which a lot of you buy and are still buying. The Arctics acrylic marker set. These are terrible. They're not opaque at all. They're very see-through. You have to put at least 2 coats on, sometimes 3, and then things get weird. They have this, this foamy brush nib that falls apart. Bits and pieces fall off of them. As I've only used these, I've only had these for a few months, and I've used them a few times. I've used them a bit because they are all I had, but the nibs are falling apart. So it leaves little bits and pieces of foam on my pages. Pretty much terrible. The only pen, and I have both sets, the only pen I like out of both sets is this gold. This gold is pretty awesome. It actually is. But what I have found, and you don't shake, you don't prime, they're just, I thought they would be cool because I'm used to using a brush nib because of my Copics. I like brush nibs better than any other kind of nib. But what I found is brush nibs and acrylic pens is not so much a good thing. Because then I purchased these. Now, I have, I also don't care for the Ohuhu water-based markers that a lot of people like. I just can't seem to make them work right. But I purchased Mogion, which is another kind of off-brand, Chinese brand off of Amazon, and I like them. So I thought I'd try their acrylic markers. They're not the kind you prime, and one end's got a really fine bullet nib, and one end's got a beautiful little foam brush nib. Now what I found with these is the brush nib, and they can be very opaque, but in many of the colors, and it may not be this one, they're different if you put them on by brush versus, look how they're very different colored. Putting the acrylic paint on via a brush versus via a nib makes them a different opacity and also a different color, which is odd. In a lot of them, the brush nib end is not opaque, so you can't really use it. It's kind of more watery, and the only thing that would make it different is the nib. Whereas this nib works real well in like coloring books and is opaque, but it's so small. It works good in the small stuff. So I liked these, but then again, okay, I can see the dots through this. This is very, very watery. Yet if I use the nib end, look at it, well, I can see through that too. Yeah, they're very inconsistent. They're very cheap though. And these were the best ones I'd found so far. They just say acrylic painter on the pen itself, but they're Mogion, M-O-G-Y-A-N-N. So I have these in this bag. I'm still on the fence about them, but they are super cheap. You can get them off Amazon Prime. So then I got a hold of Disney Meg to ask her what were her favorites, and I knew what she was going to tell me, and she did. She told me the Thule Arts. So they are expensive. And they come in packs like this, and each pack is like $40, and so they're an investment. But she did recommend this one as a starter set. I love them. And yes, they are the best. They're better than anything. They're a lot smaller than I thought they would be. I thought they would be bigger and chunkier. Now, I did get the fine nib based on Disney Meg's recommendation. The way I color, I'm almost thinking the bigger nib might be better for me, but this works great for those, for the little spaces. And look at that. It's just, see, it's a really fine line. I think my next set, I might get the bigger nib and see if I can handle it better. But it's so opaque. And it's so, like, it goes right over my writing and you don't even see it. And the colors are beautiful and they work really well. I'm telling you, I now of the mindset, one important lesson I learned in 2023 is to stop spending money on cheap supplies and just save for the good stuff. And then I won't have a bunch of garbage laying around that I don't use, plus wasting my money. Because if I had taken the money that I'd spent on all those other acrylic paint pens, I'd have all of these by now. So that's a goal. So I already started on it. I got these, and I want to start collecting these as I can afford them. Another 2024 goal is to stick with my Color the Tarot series. I love doing those videos. So I'm glad that you guys are having fun with them too. They are a no time limit, no deadline, no pressure. I would recommend just start with the first video, which is the intro and the Fool, and then go from there. And you go at your own pace. And then when you finish a tarot coloring page of any card, even if it's a card we haven't done yet, put it up on Instagram or send it to my email, which is always down in the description here. And use the hashtag Color the Tarot. I'm usually able to find it, but if you want to make sure, also tag me at Happy Catastrophe, and that'll make sure I find it. And then I upload it into the reel that has all of your pictures in it that plays in every single video. I'd like to get better at some filming techniques. I put that down here. It's funny because this video has had its challenges. I'd like to learn to use my Albrecht Dürer watercolor pencils better. I'm not so sure it's the pencil. I still think it's me, why they're not working out for me. And I spent a lot of money on those. So I'm going to find a way to make them work for me. I'd like to expand the Polychromos collection. Since, as we talked about, I've decided that's the pencil for me. That's my favorite pencil. I could use them in nothing else. So I'm going to start saving for it and to get that big set. Get down to 10% untouched. I'm at 27% untouched. So even with purchasing new, I still want to lower that because I have actually decreased it by half over 2023. So I want to decrease it by another half or more than half, I guess, because math. Learn more layering techniques, and I underlined patience. That's it for me. I don't have the patience. So like I use a wet medium and then I don't have the patience to wait for it to dry to make layers over the top of it. Or, and so I need to calm down and just let things dry before I put more layers on it. Keep experimenting with limited color palettes. Okay, that's something I really enjoy, and I did not think I would. I did it just for fun because I was having so much fun with hashtags, and then I found out I loved it. It's such a cool challenge, so I want to do more of that. And I find my pages are more peaceful and cohesive when I use a limited color palette. Light sources. That's another technique that I learned in 2023 was light sources, how to show where the light's coming from and do the shading and the light. And I'm getting a lot better at it, and I want to continue getting better at that and improve my watercolor marker technique. Okay, because it seems like no matter what marker I use, I get streaks. And Doodle Robot has a really good video on how to color with watercolor markers without getting streaks. It requires patience, letting the layers dry, see above. It's why I'm still not successful. So all those are techniques that I want to work on for 2024. So I want to thank you all for joining me today on this rather chatty video and going down the rabbit holes with me. Gudetama says, go away. And I love you all. So I'll see you in the next video. Take care.